because that's the thing too about performing, is you kind of always need an audience. When you're performing a way of being, you need someone to kind of gratify your being, the things that you do. You need that response in a way, right? And when you're embodying something, you don't care. You do not care. That is not at the forefront or even at the back of your mind either, because it's like, nah, I'm just doing what I feel called to. My soul is guiding me, not my ego. And I think a lot of times with performing, yeah, it's an ego. It's a mask that you are playing and performing out into the world, so people think and perceive you a certain way. So maybe you even perceive yourself a certain way. And we're back with another episode of life. Okay. Hope everyone is having a beautiful, wonderful life and day. Today, I really felt called to share prioritizing embodiment over performance, right? And embodiment is to become with intention, where performance is more pretending or acting. And I feel like you can perform to a point, but you need to be intentional. We live in a world now where everybody is performing, right? Especially with social media, everything is so based off of playing a role. Even just in how society is built and created, like it's very role based, and performing this role and playing this role to make others like you, or to sell a product, or to relate to others. But we are shifting. Times are shifting. The earth is changing. Our frequencies are remembering that we need to connect on an authentic level, not just because of an outer persona. Because we're remembering, our souls are remembering, and we are waking up to realizing, like, realizing parts of ourselves that we're playing a role and not being true. And then also, when you see it within yourself, you can see it within others. And you can see when, certain relationships, certain places, people are just pretending to love, pretending to like, pretending to care. And yeah, I want to focus on embodiment, because embodiment is how we get to our new timeline, new identities, and all the things that we are pretending and performing to be, we could embody instead of acting on the outer level. It's embodying from the inside. So then you don't even have to perform, you would just become, right? You're becoming with intention. So you don't even have to try, because you've hardwired your body, your heart, your spirit to becoming something within. So then your outer self will reflect it, and your outer reality will reflect it, right? Like, we're not, like I said this before, we are not actors. We are not on a upstage. We are not in a movie. We're not doing that, right? You're here to embody you. Remember you and embody it. Remember the power you have and embody it. Remember the gifts you have and embody it. Intentionally, every day. Authentically, every day. Right? Like, don't get caught up in illusion. Performance, to me, like I said, because like these things that we see are illusions in this world. Do not get caught up in performing and being a part of this illusion that we live in, because you can fight the illusion by being so real and being so empowered in your energy, right, in your essence and your purpose, that you then bend reality. And that's what embodiment is about, because when you're performing, you're not even fully accessing or utilizing your gift, your power. You know what I mean? You're just doing it on a surface level. So performance to me is very surface level. It's very physical. It's very just three-dimensional. Whereas embodiment is internal. It's internal, then it's external. And the steps of really reaching embodiment is, choosing parts of yourself that you want to really deeply become. Or even if you don't have it yet, then but sit with yourself and feel called to different qualities or energies or emotions, right? So what I'm speaking of is embodying confidence, embodying authenticity, embodying love, embodying wealth, embodying truth, embodying, like, when we're manifesting, we shouldn't just be, it's not just on the 3D. We should be manifesting internal feelings and emotions that will regulate our nervous system, and that will also propel us into the timeline and identity that we want to live in. It's not just, oh, I want this and oh, I want that, because can you sustain that? Are you able to hold it within? Are you able to feel worthy within? Like, embodiment is embodying the emotions before the material comes, right? It is sustaining and living and being in that energy, in that emotion, with intention before it gets here in the physical. And with that, with that embodiment, yeah, you can still pretend and act it out, but you still need to feel it within you, right? Because we can method act. I do believe that you can definitely method act yourself into getting things, but I do feel that you have to feel it within. You can't perform and act like you're rich and wealthy, but you don't feel worthy within. So it doesn't matter how much pretending you're doing if it's not getting to your deeper part of yourself. And that's even with just this whole spiritual being that we are, right? And why I say even with spirituality, like, you're not going to see me with a whole bunch of spiritual people, or just in a community that is so focused on looking spiritual, because at the end of the day, like, there is no one way that spirituality is supposed to appear. Because of media, we have been brainwashed and programmed to think and believe that being spiritual means this, and you wear this and you wear that, you wear a head wrap, you wear crystals, you wear waist beads, you wear long skirts. Like, that does not mean that you are spiritually evolved or connected to your inner self. We are all spiritual. It's just choosing, like, we all are spiritual beings, but it's choosing to connect to your soul. And just because you do things on the physical does not mean that you are choosing that connection. It can mean that you're performing it. And it doesn't mean that you don't have that connection, but it could also mean that you want to appear as it, but you're not doing the real inner workings to embody what that is. And people who really are about it don't need to perform. They just are it, And the more you get connected to your soul and your spirit and to the divine source and creator within all of us, you don't have to perform it. You don't have to do things that'll make you appear to be something, because you already know it. You already know who you are. You remember. And you can just live in that divinity that you are within. And then that reflects your reality. But the whole thing of this existence is within. It is so within, so without. So you have to be committed to embodying these aspects so you can actually hold it in the 3D. We are containers, right? We are these containers of energy. And you have to hold the energy within you, so then it can actually manifest into the 3D with intention, with ease, with clarity. The intention is clear and it's not distorted. Or, because if not, then you may not be able to harness it and hold it for real. So I just really felt called to share that today, because in this society that we live in this social media extravaganza that we live in, you know what I mean? It's important that we aren't getting misguided, that we aren't getting caught up in distraction from people performing, that we feel like we need to look like something. You don't, like, there is no person that you need to look like to feel like you are spiritual, or to feel that you are evolved, or that you are enlightened. Like I said before, on this journey, to me, it's enlightenment. It's to feel so whole within yourself, and to feel love at its highest in every interaction, every day. To feel so in love with every moment of your life, because you know that it was a divine. Every part of this existence is divine. So you're no longer needing the external, because your internal is already so fulfilled. And that's, to me, what the journey of spiritual evolution is to be enlightened. And, you know, it's not about doing all these physical spiritual things, or looking spiritual, but it's about the inner part of you, connecting to your inner soul. And a prime example of this is, like, when we were children, we're very spiritual, we're very connected to the source, because our souls are pure. But we are not doing a whole bunch of physical spiritual things, you know what I mean? Like rituals or initiations, or, you know, these different things that people believe or see as only a spiritual way or practice, right? We're connected. When we're kids, we're just free. We're doing whatever we want to do. We are connected to Mother Earth. We are talking. We are imaginative. We are not limited. And we're free. We're just being ourselves. And that just is the biggest thing with being spiritual, or choosing the spiritual path, and listening to your soul calling, right? All of that is really just you remembering yourself and being really connected to yourself. There is no, like I said, there's no rule book to this existence. Everybody has a different purpose and mission, and everybody is doing what they are called to, if they actually have the ears to listen, if they are actually being a student and wanting to listen to their soul, right? A student to life, a student to their own existence and experience is what I mean too. Like, yeah, even reading is great, but it's still like you need to be studying yourself, your habits, your ways, your patterns, the way you perceive life, what makes you feel amazing, what lights you up inside, what doesn't feed you, what gives you life. Like, when you get to that level of divine connection to yourself, then you no longer are so overwhelmed with what the world is saying you should do. You know what I mean? And your connection is clear, because you've already been embodying your inner self internally with intention, right? In. Those are all words that start with the prefix in. Everything is inside. So then you go into the world, you go out into the world, and the outside world cannot harm you. It can't. It cannot bring you down, because your internal energy is already radiating at a frequency of authenticity, of love, of enlightenment, of bliss. So every experience that you encounter will always still bring you to that state, you know? And I'm not saying we won't experience hardships. No, this life is definitely going to be ups and downs, right? Nothing is ever going to be up forever. It has to come back down. But it's seeing the larger picture, it's seeing the beauty in everything, and not allowing a low to bring you all the way down. Now, because if you're just performing it, a low is going to make you feel like, damn, I'm not doing it enough, I'm not acting enough. You know what I mean? That low is going to bring you down, because you're just performing it and you're not embodying it. And when you're embodying it, you realize that none of the good or bad, highs and lows, you know, none of that can get you out of your state of oneness, which is the in-between of all of that, right? All of that exists as one. So when you are living in your full embodiment of self and truth, you really just tap into a whole nother level of empowerment. Because, and see, even that empowerment, embodiment, that's also inside. So you've unlocked this power within you that this outside world is literally just, it's just a reality. But you have the power now to control it and create it, you know, with your true intentions, with your insights about yourself, with the wisdom that you have unlocked, with knowing who you are. So now you go out into the world and yeah, you're aligned to divine magical opportunities, meetings, and experiences because you've embodied the feeling of it already. You've embodied that bliss and peace and joy already. So in this quantum consciousness that we live in, you're just going to naturally always gravitate to those type of experiences, majority of the time, right? Because sometimes the outer world, if you're not in the environment of that, it can bring you to other experiences, but you will have the mindfulness and the awareness as well to know when this isn't really matching my energy or my frequency or the where I want to be. So then you have the consciousness and the awareness to choose better, to not keep living and repeating certain experiences. And that's why I said, like, I am an old soul, because I have experiences, but I don't need to have them multiple times. Like, I'm very much aware of what an experience feels like, and knowing that I don't want to experience it again, or I do maybe, right? But I'm here to experience many different things. And that's why I feel like, yeah, I'm content. I can be content within, but I won't be content in everywhere, right? Because I know that I'm supposed to be in more than where I am. But my content level of self that I have knows that I'm everywhere I'm supposed to be in every moment, right? And that does make me feel content, but I won't be content with just being in a certain place, an environment that isn't feeding me, that isn't aligning to me, right? Because my level of content is always going to rise internally, and if my external is not reflecting that, then I know that that's not at the same level of contentness or content energy that I am living in. So then I can choose to be where I feel it the most, and sometimes I feel it the most out here in Divine Mother. You know what I mean? And that's why I say, like, choose your experiences wisely, man. Don't get caught up doing the same shit that you forget what you're here for. That you get lost in this matrix and you allow pleasure to override your purity. That you allow pleasure to override your clarity and purpose. That's what this 3D can do. That's why you have to balance it, right? But I'm going off into many tangents. I just want to finish off with stating that yes, we are here for embodiment, sustenance of higher elevated emotions, gratitude, love, peace, joy, bliss, empowerment, infinite, unlimited, emotions and energies. We want to live in that and feel it every day. And as I said that, my heart just beat it a little bit higher. Love. I didn't even say love, did I? That's what we're here for. And then when you are living in that, the reality around you will reflect it to you, truly. But when you're just performing it, you're performing love, you're performing, freedom, you're performing, like, I'm not saying that it may not eventually create a reality of that for you, but it won't be as effective. It won't be as long term, because the internal feelings you have are so powerful. is beyond just acting. It's beyond just pretending. And that's why more and more it's like I see through connections with people, because I can tell when they're pretending to love me. And I can tell when they're pretending to be a friend. And maybe that's just because they're pretending to be themselves. They don't even know how to really be themselves. You know what I mean? And I don't take it personally, but I just don't like to be around overly performative people and environments, because I'm not fucking performing. This is real. I'm very much real and authentic. And like I said, I want to be around people who have the intention to really be truly authentic and themselves, right? Not performing, but they choose themselves. They chose to be themselves, no matter how society looks at them. Because that's the thing too about performing, is you kind of always need an audience. When you're performing a way of being, you need someone to kind of gratify your being, the things that you do. You need that response in a way, right? And when you're embodying something, you don't care. You do not care. That is not at the forefront or even at the back of your mind either, because it's like, nah, I'm just doing what I feel called to. My soul is guiding me, not my ego. And I think a lot of times with performing, yeah, it's an ego. It's a mask that you are playing and performing out into the world, so people think and perceive you a certain way. So maybe you even perceive yourself a certain way, but you're not actually embodying those characteristics or, you know, ways of being. It's just easier to perform it because you don't want to take the time to actually become it. Okay? And I ain't like that. I want to be real. I already know it. I already know I'm real. So I don't want to be in places where truth is not present. Because if you're overly performing, then you're not being truthful enough with yourself. Honestly, that's just it. You would rather live in this illusion of what yourself is, instead of choosing to connect deeper to become it, like I said. So, all right, I spit enough today. Y'all know what's going on. I'm always out here sharing truths and realness. And yeah, if you resonated, I always love to hear what others are feeling. We are a collective, and we are all in our soul remembrance and awakenings. And yeah, peace and much love. Look at the beautiful water. I'm gonna give some shots of the water too. Peace.